Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Neuro Coaching. Let's call our lovely student here. We have some notes that we're going to be typing up as we go along. We've got two games here. Ghost River and Side Delta. Welcome, Bubba. Yo.
Second muting stream.
OG. I'm turning your volume up. Cool. All right, so you got a ZVT for us to start. Welcome. What is your current approach to ZVT?
I'm just doing Lingbane.
Cool.
Just focusing on macro and fundamentals.
Awesome. So I'll be taking notes in Discord that I'll be sending to you as we go, just to try to figure out what your fundamentals are currently and where we can make the biggest growth happen. So this map, I'll talk a little bit about the maps as we go, but the main thing you boil it down to, is it a big map or a small map? For how early you're going to get attacked, this is a very small map, so you would expect just to get hit by everything a little bit sooner. You're going for Drone Scout. Do you always Drone Scout against Terran, or just sometimes?
Always.
Cool.
I have just
hatch.
started playing SD2 again. Previously, I was like Diamond-ish Protoss.
Mm-hmm.
I have maybe 20 games of Zerg. Started about 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Welcome to Zerg. The key thing about Zerg that's different from the other two factions is that our power spike hits whenever we have 3 bases injected. So just to think about, like, when you really come online and when you become scary for the opponent, it's once that level of production kicks in, if your third base is online and all 3 bases are injected, that you really turn into a macro monster. A lot of times they'll do some light pressure to you, but you can get the third surprisingly early. Your hatch, gas, pool timing are fine. Hatch first, then gas, then pool. And you're filling your gas. No real issues to take note of yet. Cool. Do you stay on gas after ling speed? You pull off gas. Brilliant.
50-50 on that. Sometimes I feel too slow and I won't, and then games I'm feeling better, I will.
Cool. I would say always try to do that. It's very good. You can afford your 3-base saturation much faster. Against Zerg, I stay on gas just so you can make Banes to defend yourself, but against Terran, there's a pretty big window of opportunity to just boost your droning. So I like pulling off gas there. And then the 2 overlords here, just to write these down. 32 overlord, 36 overlord.
Follow your camera?
You cannot, unless you have like the stream open. But mainly what I'm looking at for your macro cycle so far is any supply blocks and then the usage of your queen energy. The only adjustment that I would do with your queen energy so far is I inject the main and then I creep the natural, because the third base is far as fuck away and you want to get creep between your natural and your third to manage Hellions. So there's a window of time before the Reaper can really pester you too much, where you have your 4 lings with your queen at the front of your base, and then you basically establish 1 creep tumor there, and then you make a 3rd queen in the main. So you have 2 queens down at the natural protecting this front for you, and then you build another queen in the main so you don't lose your inject uptime. That's one way to just like make your bases a little bit easier to defend early on. So I'm going to type out queen in main injects, queen at nat creeps, and then 4 lings defend queen creeping at nat versus Reaper. So this opponent didn't go for Reaper, they went for Marine. But in the case that they went for a Reaper, you would need the 4 lings, which you know from your Drone Scout opener. All the extra minerals in the early game here go to queens. And then you also want to get a 44 Overlord, 46 Overlord. If we clean up those supply blocks and then have more queens, then right now, instead of having 37 drones and 2 queens, you could have more like 45 drones and 4 queens, just by really spamming the queens out for just our general purpose goal. We want to have 7 queens quick in ZVT. Every matchup against Terran. It doesn't matter if they're mech or bio. 7 queens quick is just a default. You need that as part of your macro kit. And it's 3 queens injecting, and then 4 queens that are kind of spreading creep and fighting at the front.
Okay. Noted. That makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and one thing too is some Terrans, maybe this player won't, but some Terrans will really aggressively try to kill your queens. So if you're already under queened and they kill queens, then you just lose your larva income. Your inject uptime is perfect. Like, that's one thing that's well above your bracket, so keep doing that. If you keep injecting your bases and you get more queens coming out, then you'll basically be God. You just need to have this area creeped between the natural and third, and then you want to creep toward this 4th base.
That makes sense.
So
Slow down the foundation or the road before I set up bases.
Yeah. Yeah, creep connection between bases is really important, especially if they throw Hellions at you. They're going Marines here, so you get a relatively comfier opening. And then just some general benchmark timings real quick. Refill gas in main at 3:30. Takes second gas at 4 minutes. Lair at 4:30 with... you said you play Bane, not Roach?
Yes.
Yeah, so layer at 4:30 with the Bane nest at the same time. And then when the layer is done, make Bane speed. And then the Evo timing for Zerg is about 5:10, 2x Evo chamber. Just so you get the upgrades on time. And then anytime you float above 800 minerals, I would say, expand or take a macro hatch. Even at pro level, like getting 2 macro hatches is good, so no issue at all. If you notice your money is high, that's fine. Make queens, spend your larva, and then get some macro hatches. So I'll say 1 to 2 macro hatch is good. When money is over 800, expand or macro hatch. And if you're playing Ling Bane, it's especially vital for you to just be able to keep up in production. Did you play in Heart of the Swarm or in Wings of Liberty?
I played both of them very, very long time ago on release, and then somewhat stopped.
Okay.
Actually, pretty much stopped.
Do you remember Zerg used to get 4 larvae per inject?
No, I was definitely not that good or aware at that time.
Yeah. Well, Zergs weren't as good at injecting their bases, so it kind of canceled out, but we used to get more larvae than we get currently, so macro hatches are relatively better. Wow, he's doing it! What a god. Okay. So that's great. Your larva management is already at a master's level. All we need to do now is raise your creep. If you raise your creep, then you're going to basically, by this stage of the game, you would be threatening creep right here. If you got that early creep tumor and you kept moving it, it would be there. And then one win condition, just for intimidation and just being a macro god on the map, is if you ever get the creep and it starts to get outside the Terran's base, that's what they have nightmares about, because then they can't step anywhere on the map. That's horrifying to them. So you should think about creep not as something that is tedious and that I have to do this. Think about it like it is the most intimidating thing that makes Terran players struggle to sleep at night. It's really scary.
That makes sense. I was thinking of it before just as vision, like as Protoss getting a bunch of observers just sitting out there and you see all their movements before they expect it.
Yeah, the vision point is good. The other point to kind of make it more valuable to you, to your like subconscious mind, is that you win fights on creep, but you lose fights off creep for a lot of situations. Even if the armies are pretty equal between each other, or if you're slightly ahead, if you fight off creep, the Terran can do splits and it's really hard to get us around. But if they fight on creep, they just die to speed banes, and all they can do is cry. So the creep spread is like guaranteed fight winning in a sense. If you didn't really take huge damage early on to your drones, like you're going to win fights on creep if you have upgrades and bane speed. You have 124 lings. What a god. This many you could probably contest at third, but damn, they are playing very weird.
Yeah, that would be one of my knowledge gaps, I would say. Even when I hit Diamond on Toss, I played for a month about a year ago. When all the way up to Diamond, I just don't have enough game sense to like understand, even when I scout, what is actually going on.
Yeah, so for maxing out, if they're doing this, and a lot of Terrans will do this because turtling with Terran is very strong, so they don't really need to attack if they don't want to. If they're not attacking you, I would actually go for a higher drone count before you start spamming lings, because if anything bad happens and you like aren't able to break their wall, or they have some mines and you take big damage, or they just don't take a third for whatever reason, the lings can't really get too much done. So you're basically hiring 182 assassins who for about 3 minutes just kind of stood next to this rock. You could have basically started their work period sooner to when this move out happened, in a sense, and you could have had this base saturated for minerals and your third base fully saturated with gases. Because Lingbane is really cool, but Lingbane with 3/3 and Hive is even stronger. So getting all your upgrades and stuff and then getting up to, I would say, 70 to 90 drones is the target before massing units. You can make some units like maybe 30 lings or something as you're getting to 3 base saturation, but against a passive Terran like this, you can punish them really hard just by droning your 4th base. Jeez. Your larva production is honestly godly for where you are right now. So if you keep doing this and then you just have more drones, then you'll be able to remax really fast. You have rapid fire set up for your ling production?
I don't remember. I reinstall Windows pretty often, so.
Oh yeah. Like you hold down the key for Zergling, or do you like hit the button really fast?
Oh, I hold it down, so I still have it set up.
Okay, cool. 222 lings. This is amazing.
I see what you mean. I'm about 4 minutes off on my creep spread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a very interesting stat spread. Of the people who I've coached, even among Masters players, you might have the best ejects I've ever seen. But your drone count is like super duper all in. So this attack has to work. And if it doesn't kill them, then you're going to take a really uneconomical trade. And it's going to be hard to afford maxing out again. So this could work, but it's very risky to do this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's more or less what happened. I tried to send you only games I lost, and I couldn't necessarily figure out why.
Yeah. Well, you're ahead here. Like, if you look at the active forces tab, you're well ahead in terms of the mineral value of your army. You could attack them, but they have, like, the perfect turtley defensive setup, so they're going to take a really good trade the more tanks that come out here, even though you have a ton of Lingbane. I like that you're splitting it a little bit. Okay. So one thing about microing units and registering like map commands, attack move versus move command has kind of a decision branch in it of whether it's better for you to just A, move and then trust the units to do their job, or if you want to move them somewhere and let them attack. Just for example, if you look at the Terran setup right now, if you just clicked A move to their third base here, then they would have to cancel this third and you would delay it for a long time. But if we sit back here and we make Banes, you give them time. So one thing that you could basically just be more active about in general for this matchup is to really know how many bases they have and to try to trip it up until they've paid rent on it. If they have enough defense, like now they're getting enough tanks for this, you probably don't want to just headbutt this base. But just contesting the bases before they get set up is way easier to beat than once this is a planetary. Because right now you could still make this lift off. The command center's not going to shoot you. You have 100, 200 heckin' lings. You could just run at them, but over time this is getting worse and worse. And Terran get into a point with tanks specifically where it's really hard for Zerg to just keep up in DPS with the mass tank splash. So we don't really want to attack them right now. My strategy against a Terran like this is actually to soak like 3/4 of the map, where if they're really going to be turtled like this, they're not harassing you at all. They're just massing slow units and they're sitting at home. You can soak this space, just drone it up all the way, get up to like 100 drones. So this attack up here, if you just attack moved at the top, it would trade way better. There's like a move and then shift attack.
Yeah.
So that's just a correction there. But yeah, big picture wise, you can mine out your 4th and your 5th base and they're never going to punish you because they're turtled. You can even think about long term taking this base from them and basically just mining that out, so then when they eventually get out there, there aren't any more resources for them to get, and you end up winning just by starving them out.
Just take inefficient trades over and over again with larva production. That makes sense.
Yes, because your larva is insane. So that's your strength as a player already. So the way that you exploit that is by droning a shit ton and trading stuff out once you have high drones and you get maxed. So the basic game flow is drone to 80 plus, and then hit 200 supply and then trade. That's kind of the super simple plan. Yeah, the fight ends up being kind of tough. One breakpoint that's good to memorize is 25 Banes with speed can smash and kill a planetary. Planetaries are really hard to beat. I'll still type notes. I just kind of broke it into one message. They're really hard to beat with Lings, just because Lings don't do enough damage to the armored building to really chew away at them if the SCVs are repairing. But Banelings can hit the SCVs and the planetary, and Banelings do bonus damage versus structures. So they actually trade pretty good against buildings.
I did not know that. I should click my units.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. That's part of the reason why it takes 5 Banes to kill supply depots. If you hit 5 Banes into that barracks at the top of the ramp, then both depots will die from the splash damage.
Okay.
It's a fun one for if you end up trying to Ling Bane, bust somebody.
So you ram them with 8 in case you lose 3, and then you still get a few off and you win.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep, that would do it. Yeah, they're taking a 4th here, so this is another example of where you could just have a Ling there. I see you have everything in the 1 key. If you just like had a couple things in the 2 key, like maybe even 16 Lings, and just have it here and run it there every once in a while, you can usually trip up their base, because what you want to do is force them to use their army to take the 4th base. Right now, they want to use their army to defend their 3rd base because their workers are there, and they're hoping to God that you will not fuck up their base. You can kill this base in 1 second with your army. So they're being very risky. Now your creep is going. Yeah, so you know to do it, you just need to get that early creep tumor down and then let that one keep going. And then have probably a hotkey group with creep queens. Is that what you're using? I don't see a queen
no,
group.
I just go and jump to the map spot. I'll just click down where I know I left off.
Gotcha. Bane's rolling in. Nice. Nice. These are cool fights. Need to get that 4th. And then having the 5th base drone would be massive here. Uh-oh. Do you ever try hold position?
No.
Okay. Because the Lings, if you're like in a clump and they're all standing on top of SCVs, you can just hit hold position and they won't try to kind of derp out and hit the planetary. They'll just hit the workers that are next to them. But yeah, the 25 Banes at the base, I think, is the key here. They're very turtled here. They have 2 tanks, so it's hard to get into their natural and get damage. But if you did, that would be good. And then Hive's going. Nice. You have 2-2. Excelente. You know you can mouse over your supply in the upper right and see your worker count?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, shoot for like 85, I think would be good. But if you're ever wanting to kind of mix up your play and be mechanically challenging for your opponent, I would recommend just trying a 2 key for your lings. Like just have a secondary group and maybe take a third of them, just box them, add them to a different group. And then if you run some army at the 4th, you can usually bait their army down and then send some kind of strike team just directly into the main. It works very, very often against Terran because they usually don't have their depot hotkeyed, and they'll be really tunnel visioned on this. So the whole idea, if we're talking like chess mindset of how to really make a player mess up and die in this game, is you want to give them something that they feel like they can control. So if they're looking at their army and they're tunnel visioning on this, and you have like half your army or even 2/3 of your army, and it's right here in front of them, they're going to get excited because they're going to think, oh my god, I can beat that army. I think I'm ahead. Yeah, I think I'm ahead. Yeah, I can beat that army. There aren't that many Banes. Yeah, I'm ahead. Like, he starts to feel really good about himself. But then you have a third of your army that's running up here while he's feeling good about himself, and then it goes right up here onto the ramp, and then starts killing the reinforcement units and really tripping them up. And that's when you go and you bash bases like this. Kill this base and then kill this base. So that's the real way to tear apart a Terran player like this, where you're ahead, you have map control, but it's kind of hard to just bust their army directly because they're all focused on it. They're definitely going to be slow managing any counterattacks. Like if you got 8 lings onto these 2 tanks, you kill that, and then this natural is wide open for you to hit. Players at this level are wanting to have a little kid soccer game. They want all the army to be in one spot, and then we just bash our blobs into each other and we decide who wins. But you don't have to play like that. You can just get a third of your stuff and send it into their main. Lings are super good at doing so. If you had roaches, it would not be good to do that. Oh man, they're going on creep. You can just mass Banes and smash this. Yeah, here we go. They did nerf the Baneling morph time a few times in StarCraft, so it's pretty slow compared to what it used to be. 160 lings. This is awesome. He's going. Yeah. Oh, you could just go with that. Oops. Oh, you're going to counterattack. Nice. So you can bust this. Nice. Bust this. Nice. So you have your hive, get your 3/3 and adrenal really quick. Those should be like signature moves for you if you want to play Ling Wing or Ling Bane. Do you play Ultras?
No, I'm primarily just trying to play Ling Bane right now to get better at splitting army and like work on fundamentals. I'm kind of avoiding higher tech tree.
Sweet.
I feel like I can manage everything else.
Sweet. I like that iterative process of learning.
Yeah, a year ago or so, when I played for a month or two and got Diamond on Protoss, I just played like Robo All-In 3 base, and I was like, I didn't get better at the game. And as soon as I went off that, I lost every single game.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, it's making you into a larva management god. That's really nice. So if you play any other composition later, it'll be pretty easy to manage getting enough index in, because this is insane. The amount of units that you've cranked out is like Masters 1 level speed. I would guess your APM is very high.
It's high 150s, I guess, is what I would say average per game.
Huh.
I don't spam click or anything, though. It's just I try to do intentional movements.
Mm-hmm. That's good on your wrist. Sweet. Adrenal glands got buffed. It used to be 18% attack speed increase. Now it's 40%. So it really makes Lings gods.
I did not know about this.
Yeah. So I would prio that. I would say don't really trade unless you have like 25 to 30 Banes. Just like for the amount of damage that Lings can get. I'll say keep 25 to 30 Banes in army comp during trades and fall back when they are gone, or backstab with Lings. Yeah, this is a good back and forth game. The Terran is definitely leaning into the recent discovery of the power of Ghost. If we go back in time like 3 to 4 years, Terrans used to complain about Zerg late game being too strong. And then Maru figured out that you can rapid fire snipe with the Ghost and then just wave your cursor over a Zerg army and it just disappears. And then since then, this it's like an economical turtling bio style that a lot of Terrans go for, where they don't even move at you. Like, they haven't done a single timing attacking your bases. They haven't tried to clear your creep. Their objective is entirely to keep their back against the wall and cause you to trade badly into them until the map is dried up. Oh no, wait, just as I said that. They have some tanks.
More or less what happened, I think, this game.
Yeah. A lot of them. Nice. Ah, but no overseers. Cool. Well, I feel like this game, if we had the 3-3 for the last couple trades, we'd be in a much stronger spot. But the biggest thing, I feel like this game, was getting up to the correct worker count before we get the Ling count to the moon. And then once you do have that, just using your Lings to have an active presence and check the third and check the fourth. Like, that should be the immediate housekeeping thing of, if my opponent is on 2 bases still, I want to really know when does the third go down, when does the fourth go down. Because now the Terran is max still. They've taken a whole bunch of really efficient trades just by turtling, staying with the tanks, staying with the planetaries and the ghosts. You've made 1,123 units that have fallen in battle. That's crazy, though. The double macro hatch was really well timed. And you have queens that have been doing work. Do you use base camera to get around?
Yeah, F keys.
Nice. That's cool. Well, GG. You're basically dead here.
Yeah. That's the next fight, I call it.
Nice. Cool. So how many drones is good? 85 plus.
80 to 90. Yes.
Yeah. Get so many drones that you would get a big speeding ticket. Okay. Then you've got a ZVZ for us.
Yep. Same game plan. Lingbane. Not trying to vary from it.
Cool. ZVZ.
My mental roadmap is once I hit mid-diamond, which I think I can do since I've hit it on another race, then I'll start branching out into tech trees.
Yeah. Well, the plus side is the only thing that you really need to add to go from mid-diamond with this to masters with this is Roach. Just add a Roach Warren, and then you have Roach Ravager Lingbane, and that can beat almost any army if you have good drones and good injects and everything. You just respond to air with queens.
Is that Zerg's version of Blink Stalkers?
Yes, in the sense that roaches can go and trade and take a fight and then run home and not die. And then you can trade out some Lingbane for all the fights, so it ends up being pretty efficient. You can just spam units and take fights, but conserve some of your army too. Okay, you scout them, they go pool first. For ZVZ, the mindset that I have is that it's a fighting game, not really an RTS. Where,
Smash units.
yeah, like your first Ling Bane are way more crucial than they are in the other matchups because a lot of matches just are over from the Ling Bane aggression. As soon as some person gets Lings and Banes, if they spam units and they micro well, they could just kill you. So I like to have the plan, if I'm getting Ling speed, to always make some Ling Bane just to check their wall, make sure their wall is good and secure if they're walling off, or if they have a third base, I can pressure that, or if they have an attack, I can contest that and attack them. So we'll say make some Ling Bane as Ling speed finishes. Let's see, when do you get your third in this matchup?
I think I do it right at 30. I can't fully remember this game. I think this was a few days ago.
Nice. 30 is the correct answer.
This might be the game where he did a lot of Ling pressure, but it's not looking like it.
Sometimes people do it at random times. So trying to do Ling speed. First split, 100 gas.
For ZVZ, is creeping important?
No. Compared to the other matchups, no, not really. If you have 3 hatches and you only have 3 queens and you didn't make a creep tumor, that's usually fine. The only creep tumor that I normally make, if I'm in a Roach versus Roach game, is I'll get a 3rd queen as my 3rd base is going up, and then as she's walking over to the 3rd base, just drop a creep tumor and then go to the 3rd and then inject that. And then that 1 creep tumor becomes another creep tumor toward a 4th base. That's kind of the only creep that's that important.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's way less crucial because it also gives your opponent speed. Not universally good.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I think I noticed on other people's bases I got speed, and then I stopped trying to creep in ZVZ.
Yeah. It can be kind of bad if you're a Muta player and you give Roaches speed against you. But yeah, try to get Ling speed first 100 gas, Bane speed next 50 gas, and then at 32 supply, make 2 Overlords, and then make Lings with Larva. As we'll say with 7 workers at your natural, and then drone behind. Inject 3 base. That opener that I just typed and sent to you, basically this opponent would lose their 3rd to it. You kind of think about what corner did they cut here. If we're talking about professional level crisp punishing ZVZ, as soon as Ling speed is done, which should happen at 330 off a normal build, 330, let's just see what's on the map here. Your opponent Zerg skipped Ling speed and they skipped a full wall. So if you had 16 Lings and 4 Banes on the way to them, you might not be able to break their wall if they add Evos. But this 3rd base is fucked. There's no way they deserve to have this 3rd base. Personally, I'm a little bit offended that they would even do this. Because if any Zerg has Ling speed and they made 16 Lings, the Queens can't go out there and defend that. Because there's no Banes to back them up. And they don't have Ling speed either. So this build dies. So the thing that I typed to you is like your initial strike as a Ling Bane player, where you got your Ling speed, you got your Bane nest. Now you're representing the sword that you've built and swinging at your opponent while you sneak drones behind with your backhand. So your front hand is striking them with some Ling Bane. You're looking for damage. You could delay a 3rd base, or you could bust the wall and break in and kill drones. Like whatever damage you can get. And then you want to inject the 3 bases. So it's pretty funny to me actually that I went into this being like, you got to inject your bases, and you're the better or the best student I've ever seen at injecting. We just need to get your tech on time and get creep, and then you'll be unstoppable. So Ling speed crisply on time, Bane nest crisply on time. This player is dead, but let's just say we got to the mid game and both players agree to drone. What do you do when they mass roaches?
Still just going Ling Bane. I think I tried to do more backstabs and like see his army push out and pull it back, but
Mm-hmm.
my memory might not be serving me on this game.
Mm-hmm. Smack hatches for days. Massling can work against roaches. You'd usually want to be ahead in upgrades, like get your 1-1 really fast. You could even put those kind of in the wall for yourself earlier on than this. Maybe after your Banes that you pressure with, just get the 2 evos. Let's write this down for gas so I don't forget. So just your gas spending. It was first 100 gas, speed, next 50 gas, Bane nest. Yep, next 100 gas, Banes to attack. Next 250 gas is 1-1 upgrades. Next 100 gas is lair, and then 2-2 upgrades and Bane speed. So that would be how you would go about it if everything was taken neatly one after the next, and you want to basically line them up as quickly as you can and tech up. If there's a huge Ling fight and you need to make more Banes, that's totally fine. It just delays stuff. You just don't want, like here you have 700 gas. You could be a lot higher up the tech tree if we just spent that earlier on. Our Lings could be 1-1 to fight these roaches. They have 1-1. Yikes. But this is really refreshing in the sense that this opponent did a build that they would have gotten punished for doing if you just made the Lings on time. So they wouldn't even be able to have these drones at the third base right now. That wouldn't even exist. Nice surround though. Cool, you got double macro hatch. So yeah, that's a fundamental for macro that applies to all 3 races, but it's relatively more important for Zerglings than it is for roaches, I feel like, because you get so many points of value from an upgrade when you have Zerglings. Say you get melee or ranged, yeah, you're applying that, in this case, 55 times to all your units. That's crazy value. So get that 1-1 crisp after your Bane nest and you know you're safe from like early crap. They're also doing the same thing as your other opponent where they're keeping most of their stuff in one clump. So if you ever like pretend to push one side and then push hard on the other side, that can really mess up players like this. And ultras are not a bad late game. I know you said you're not working on other tech just yet, but it synergizes well with the same upgrade types of Ling Bane. Yeah, Ling surround Banes hit him. Let's go. Could probably kill that. Remember to inject before you go in and trade. Nice, you're back at it. And you hotkey all the hatches too? Shoo! Okay. It's hard for them to stop you from just surrounding and killing bases. Lings are so fast. There's one strat that you would have to watch out for if you're playing Massling like this, is if they go for roaches and they also get Bane speed and have Banes in the mix, you might have to base race them. Just because their army would be too much of a hard counter for Massling.
That makes sense. 1 Baneling trade's great into Massling. 1
Yeah.
for 10.
Yeah. If they just mixed in a Bane nest with their 3 base saturation and got Bane speed and made like 15 Banes and then attacked you with 33 Roach and 15 Bane, you'd probably have to base trade that and not fight it directly. But most Roach players are very like focused on making Roach Ravager and they don't even think about it. So they'll probably just do like this person's doing. Mass Roach it. Got your 2-2 going. Relatively faster timing than the 1-1. A good worker count to go for in ZVZ is probably closer to 60. If you're playing Ling Bane like this, I feel like 50 to 60. If you get 85, you'll just die. So all the timings. That's an epic fight, damn. Shit, you beat it. Okay. So after that fight, I would drone, get Hive for adrenal glands, and then just immediately run at them and check their 4th again. Nice. I'm gonna put shoot for 50 to 60 drones of Ling Bane. Less than other matchups. You can play Ling Bane against Protoss as well. Do you do so?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
And I just give up if they play Archon Colossus. I don't give up. I'll play it to the end, but I understand I'm not winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can try base trading against it or Ultra, but yeah, those both are hard counters to Lings. Nice, denying the 4th base again. Crazy. Yeah, you have a bit of creep mixed into all this as well. This mass Ling style used to be more popular in ZVZ. They're going fungal against you. It's a heckin' good ass game of StarCraft 2. This drone has been lazily holding some Vespene under this Overlord the whole time. And the Queen was like, "It's okay, I'll let you take a break, I won't tell the boss." He's like, "I'm tired, I don't want to go back to work, we're just making Lings anyway, why do I even need to get this?" It's valid. You can take a nap in the shade of the Overlord.
It's a hard day out in the moon.
Yep. They're really playing defensive here. Their main's going to mine out pretty soon. It should be about 8 to 9 minutes that the main mine's out, but they didn't fully saturate it, so they're still hanging in there on 3 bases. But you've done a good job of controlling the flow, of deciding when the fights are happening. And you have a shit ton of bases. So those are our advantages here. And the more bases you have, the better you are at base racing. So if you really feel like... Because what?
They have more stuff to knock out, so...
Yep, exactly. And you're also spread out over a larger area. So they have to go more places to be able to even hit your buildings. So if you're in a game state like this, where, damn, they have a big clump of roaches and they have infestors, like, they're really good in a head-on fight against me. But those infestors are slow as shit in chasing you across the map. So if you saw them, like, step at this space, and then you just run over at this space, they're fucked. They're going to take a ton of damage until they get back and defend, and then just run away again. So you can just be a heckin' Thieves Guild on the map. Just kill whatever base whenever they move out. Don't fight them. That 3rd base would be toast. Oops. Oh, sick counter. In this case, yeah, boxing going to the main. Nice. You got them down to 40 workers. Mass some more lings. Do they have 2-2? Yeah, 2-2 is going to make it tough to fight them. Good call to base race. They have a bunch of roaches at home, though. Oh, nice. At this point, we are mostly dead.
Yes.
Good fighting. Great larva production. Just get your ling speed and your bane nest on time, and so many of these matches, you'll just end up super ahead. This opponent, they went for a build that I would call unsafe and greedy, and you would be able to just deny their third and just be ahead and have more larva and more stuff and really get the crisp 1-1. Like, think about ling speed, bane nest, a couple banes, 1-1, and then lair. The lair, if you are playing ling bane, it doesn't really do much for you unless you're getting bane speed. But 1-1 does. 1-1 also hard counters Muta if you ever face against Muta. Mutas are much slower at fighting units with an armor upgrade than they are without it. So it makes it a lot harder for them to clean up the units, and you also can just crush their ling bane on the ground. Because your lings can survive one bane hit before they die if you get the armor upgrade.
Okay, I didn't know armor applied to. I don't know if there's a concept of it of like magic damage in StarCraft. I thought it was separate.
Banes are not magic damage, I don't believe. I think it's Widow Mines count as armor piercing and magic, and Ghost Snipe is also that kind of magical psionic type. Banes is just a plus versus light, so I think it's the same type of damage as like a Hellbat for how it hits. But yeah, your injects are honestly insane. That's your edge. You have master's level injects, so all you need is like diamond level creep and diamond level tech, and you'll be like diamond in 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Sweet. So drones and spend my gas a bit more timely.
Yeah, get your target drone count. Keep your gas low. Like, you should always spend it into the next tech as fast as you can, unless you need it for banes. And then just keep that creep actively pushing towards your opponent. And then also checking their third and fourth bases. I think that's another thing that's going to give you more control, and they won't get away with those bases like we saw where they're building the base. There are no Hellions there. They're just hoping that you're not hitting it. So if you're massing units and they're turtled, just keep checking the fourth over and over again.
That makes sense. I started doing that at the end of today, or earlier today, where I just throw some lanes out on the map to get vision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, sweet. I appreciate it. I think we're probably at time. Yeah, just about.
Yeah, we do have a little bit more time if you had any other questions, but we could wrap it there.
A few questions, and like building the habits to spend down, I guess it's just worth slowing down everything to include these things in macro cycles and keep remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think it's worth just every time I forget, just try to throw it in, or play more intentionally? Hopefully that question makes sense.
The way that, do you ever try a warm up before you ladder? Like, you just play a custom?
No, that Terran game was my first ladder game of today.
Oh, well, good first game. I always do just one custom game on one of the ladder maps where I just try to hit 200 supply and just practice my max out of getting my spores on time, my upgrades on time, my injects clean. I get some of my supply blocks out of the way as well. So just doing one max out on your own means that your macro in the rest of your games is going to be way cleaner, and you're going to know kind of what drone count you want to feel good with when you look at your bases. Because in one of the bases, or one of the matches we were looking at, your injects were super sharp and you had like 200 lings, but they were chilling at home. So your mechanics were very strong and you were playing fast. Like, you weren't playing slow and falling behind. The issue was, what is my best priority right now? So basically for the early game, your priority is drones per minute. How many drones per minute can you get out in the first 5 minutes? And then how can you explode with lings as your 1-1 is completing? That's kind of the power spike that you're shooting for as a player with your chosen fundamental of, I want to learn Ling Bane first. You want to be able to get that 3 base mineral income as fast as you can with a healthy queen count of like 7, and then you just spew overlords, and then you spew lings. It's kind of in that order. I'll type that out for you.
Okay. And then I guess as games get later, or if I feel like I'm on top of my macro, is it worth investing in going higher tech for playstyle and getting used to it, or should I just focus on like fundamentals for a bit longer from what you've seen?
I would keep it simple and just add ultra. Just the only difference is after your 2/2, get your infestation pit, get your hive, get your 3/3 and adrenal, and then get ultra. It makes spending gas really easy in the late game. So if you've built up some gas, the ultras benefit from all the same upgrades, and they don't really require micro. If they're just with Lingbane, they normally get to the fight and they trade out really well.
Okay. And then I think the last question I have is gas expansion. I think I've been stopping at 2, maybe 3. Is it just once I see like, hey, with Lingbane, I'm spending out all my gas, it's throwing up some gases?
Yeah, you don't really need more gases until you're getting your hive tech stuff. You can play with 2 to 4 gas with just Lingbane and getting up to 2/2. Like all of that stuff, 4 gas is totally fine. Even 2 gas, you'll be mostly lings, but you can do it with 2 to 3 gases. Once you're making ultras, you want to have more like 6 gas income.
Okay, sweet. All right, a lot to soak in here and try to integrate it. And if it's good with you, we'll probably try to book another session in like 2 weeks or so. And I feel like there's been some good progress built up.
Hell yeah. Excited to see it. Very easy to work with you. Excited to see what you can do with your insane inject skills. I pity to your opponents. Well, thanks for the session, Bubba.
Sweet, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Have a good rest of your night, or
You too.
morning.
Thank you, sire. Nice. Very well done, student.